How did this happen? Mortal Kombat finally makes a long-awaited reappearance for a thirsty fanbase. A standalone remake/reboot, MK21 reintroduces audiences to the world of Mortal Kombat, a fighting tournament between our Earthrealm and Shenzo's Outworld. The fights are to the death, and after 10 victories, Outworld is allowed to invade Earthrealm. This film takes place before said tournament, so the sorcerer Shang Tsung can preemptively eliminate the fighters chosen by Raiden, Earthrealm's guardian and thunder god of uselessness who only berates others and doesn't do a fucking thing to help anyone. The fighters chosen are destined with a transferable birthmark. One such fighter is Cole, the audience stand-in character and worthless moron who no one gives a crap about. He's dragged into these events that make no sense with a story that had me wanting to rub the jalapenos from my nachos in my eyes to soothe the pain of this experience. If, like me, you're a longtime fan, you know Mortal Kombat film adaptations have gone as smoothly as passing a stone, but were as short-lived as a kick to the testicles. The first film was never good, Annihilation is legendarily bad, Conquest was an incomplete mess, and Scorpion's Revenge tried too hard.
What about Legacy?
No. Now, if you want to change characters, events, etc. from their source material, like Conquest, you have to at least make it interesting. This film tries that, but with the same results as catching a cannonball with your teeth. For example, setting Hanzo's death in the 15th century doesn't do anything except make the inaction of Shang and his forces baffling. Johnny Cage is absent, and in his place is Cole. What does Cole have to offer? Well, he's a moron devoid of competence, humor, charisma, and gets strung along like a naive high school student. So why was Cage removed again? Character actions and choices make about as much sense as fellatio from a woodpecker. At one point, Liu Kang meets up with Cole and company. Instead of introducing himself, he just attacks. I am not your enemy. Could have fucking fooled me. Now, follow me to Raiden's temple. Wait, it's in that direction? You guys parachuted on top of the place and you walked away? How many times were each of you dropped in your heads as a kid? How about Cole's grand plan to defeat Shang's fighters? Alright everyone, I know we just got our asses kicked in one-on-one combat, but if we separate and fight these guys in one-on-one combat, we'll beat them no problem. I would love to have sat in that staff meeting when those writers were coming up with this crap. I'd be throwing employees out windows like frisbee golf was an Olympic sport. Speaking of throwing out characters, I hope you don't have favorites because characters are ruined here like a kid's public Minecraft server. It doesn't make any sense for half of these characters to be here. It's like the filmmakers just threw darts at the roster to choose who would appear. As I've mentioned before, changes can be made if they're interesting or make sense given the context. Not all characters must have a backstory, especially in film due to the time crunch. However, stripping a character of everything that made them interesting does not a happy fan make. For example, Raiden is the exact opposite of what he is supposed to be. Raiden is a benevolent teacher. He improves those under his wing and lifts them up to be better than they were. A spin on that would be to change his prerogative. Make him a harsh, strict teacher that doesn't show how deeply he cares for his fighters. Here, he's just a dick talking down to people, saying they are worthless and Earthrealm is doomed. Imagine if Gandalf stormed off like a whiny little bitch midway through Elrond's meeting. You carry the fate of us all, little one. Wait, he's carrying the ring? This little shit can't even dunk. Screw this, I'm off to Valinor. Yeah, wouldn't be much of a fellowship now, would it? And don't get me started on Mileena. It's already bad enough this is the worst looking Sub-Zero, but Mileena has been nuked from orbit. Now, since I am bound to point out positives, Kano is kinda funny. He's got the only real jokes in the film, and if he was made as straight-laced as the others, this film would have been unbearable. Oh, I'm sorry, were you looking for more? There really isn't much here. I suppose we should get down to the real reason people are watching this film. The fights and logistics. They're awful. How is it I must look back to the original movie for a halfway decent fight? Wide angles, actual impact, choreography that feels somewhat natural, the clashing of different martial arts, and the cherry on top, the fatalities. This film gets the last one correct. The rest flunk hard enough that it would bring down the national average. First off, the fights that happen are between those you might not think would occur. However, half the camera work is up close, leaving you little room to breathe. Much of the editing is fast, with sweeping camera movements to help exaggerate the actors' actions, since it is clear half of the cast here doesn't know what they're doing either. Most of the impacts are poorly hidden, while trying not to damage the pretty faces of the cast like the choreography of most Hollywood. Reminds me specifically of the Marvel films. You know another thing that bothered me? The special abilities of everyone are explained in a way that feels unenthusiastic. I always just assumed if the person had a special ability, they were born with it, like Sub-Zero's cryomancy, or technology allowed it, like Jax's Jerkmate 3000s. This film explains individual special capabilities are one's arcana, a power within you that once unlocked allows you to perform special abilities. Only if you have the mark, though. If you don't, then you're a loser who will be talked down to like a child, aren't worth killing, or will be allowed to fight at all. Yes, Raiden, because you have so many choices. Let's pretend Sonya doesn't exist until she's needed for a life-saving ex machina. Cole's power is really dumb, by the way. His power is getting his ass kicked like he's been doing this entire movie. Think that's ironic? It's a Chinese knockoff of Black Panther's suit. I have so many more questions. Don't think, just consume. No, I have free thought. Why does the beginning of this film take place in 1617? What does this add? Ignoring Hanzo's death, why is it Raiden's protection of Hanzo's daughter was enough to continue the bloodline, but Sub-Zero didn't go after her? Why didn't any of Shang's forces, for that matter? No one can hide in this world, apparently, since the birthmark acts like a GPS, so why is it a surprise Hanzo's bloodline continued? If Shang knows about the birthmarks, then why not send a minion after any of Hanzo's descendants after they left Raiden's care for all these centuries? For that matter, how in the Netherrealm is Sub-Zero still alive after 404 years? When dumbass entertainment companies try to excuse how a character lived, then you know your movie failed. Specifically this one explaining what Liu Kang explained about how his monks found and saved Jax. Alright, Master Disciple, if you guys knew of Jax's location, then why the fuck didn't they intervene? And these questions only pertain to the first 15 minutes of the movie. I could sit here for the length of an EFAP stream tearing this film apart if I really wanted to. I find it so hard to believe that with producers in love with the franchise, actors who played the games, and even working with the developers themselves, that a project like Mortal Kombat can be so painfully awful. This film isn't interested in representing the story, characters, or fun the franchise is known for. This is a ploy for fans to dump buckets of money into the pockets of those behind this facade while dangling keys in front of us like we're children. As of right now, it is easily one of the top 5 worst of the year, in large part because it strings you along like Austin Jones. The CGI looks bad, the blood resembles PS2-era graphics, and the costume designs are lazy or ugly. The smartest characters here eat paste for breakfast, and I wanted to suck on the end of a tailpipe with all the passion of a pride parade before hearing Cole say another fucking thing. Now there's a genuine question as to which one is worse, this or Annihilation. That gives me an idea. Oh, like, share, subscribe, you know what to do. Now excuse me, I have a Coliseum to build.